What is a seemingly harmless parenting mistake that will majorly fuck up a child later in life?
Silent scan.
Anytime a child is playing with a child of the opposite gender, and they respond, "Oh, he's your boy girlfriend," that shit completely stopped me from even speaking to girls. Until damn near high school. I just saw this happen in front of my eyes not too long ago. My aunt started teasing my 12-year-old cousin, because she found out that a girl he was friends with had a little crush on him. Well, that friendship ended right then and there. My cousin was obviously super embarrassed. Of course my aunt made the big announcement in front of a bunch of people. I was so mad at my aunt. Like, what the fuck did she expect?
Silent scan.
Discouraging them from asking questions. Yes, it can be annoying to keep hearing, "But why daddy mummy?" But I've met far too many adults who admit they stopped asking questions because as a kid their parents would shut them up, or be like, "There he or she goes asking questions again." Inquisitive minds need that fostered. Another good strategy to help develop creativity and problem solving while not shutting down the questioning is when your kid asks you a question, ask them, "What do you think?" or "Why do you think it's that way?" Especially if it's something that doesn't have a factual answer.
Silent scan.
Telling them that the family members who are mean to them or neglect them love them. And he does love you, you know. Well, damn. It doesn't feel like it. Maybe if he loved me, he should show it instead of insulting everything I say or do. This is how it is in my house. My mother is the best mom I could have asked for. But she refuses to see that my dad is mentally abusing and mocking all of his kids. Because he is always nice to her, she says. Friends will come and go. Family lasts forever. But what is the point of having a family member forever when they're the last person you'd like to have around?
Silent scan.
When I was 4, my parents adopted a kitten. Of course I had never seen anything quite so delightful before, and I could barely keep my hands off the little furball. So about 2 or 3 days passed. I get up in the morning and walk out and ask, "Where is the kitten?" And my parents told me that he died, implying that my roughhousing had killed it. I was terrified to touch an animal for several years thereafter. In fact, they had simply given the kitten back to the people they got it from.
Silent scan.
Not having them do chores. My parents pushed me to be academic, so doted on me hand and foot as a kid to make more room for study. When you're too young and stupid to know any better, you think it's a blessing. When I moved out to unit, I didn't really know how to clean, when to clean, what to clean with, how to wash clothes, how to get them dry, etc. The only thing I could do is cook and binge drink. That's no way to bring up a kid. And it's a steep learning curve doing all that stuff for the first time in your early 20s. It sounds like a super lame answer, but make sure every kid does their fair share of chores.
Silent scan.
Not stopping when your child says stop. Whether it's teasing, or tickling, or resting. Kids who have parents that don't respect their boundaries always seem to end up being the biggest X and bullies because they've learned they don't have to respect other people's feelings. My dad would squeeze my knee to tickle me, but it would quickly turn painful. And he wouldn't stop until I cried. I would beg him to stop, but he wouldn't until it got to that point.
Silent scan.
Never telling your child that you were wrong, and that you're sorry. Just never once occurred. My father never once said I'm sorry to me. He was human. There were plenty of times he should have. My kids have heard from me plenty. Once my brother was sent to his room by my dad after they got into an argument about something stupid. I used Google to prove my brother right, and we both were grounded for being disrespectful. Until he found out we were actually right. He never ungrounded us until the week was over, and only told me he was wrong. Moral of the story: being right is disrespectful.
Silent scan.
Not following through with your promises. If you told your child you were buying ice cream tomorrow in the hopes that they'd forget, and the next day when they ask you tell them no, they'll see you as unreliable. Ice cream is just the first thing that came to my mind. I'm sure someone else can explain better what I'm trying to say here without sounding so ridiculous. I taught my children at very young ages that outside of extreme circumstances, failing to keep a promise made is the same as telling a lie. Therefore, I won't make promises to them that I am not absolutely certain I can keep. They learned early in life that I take my promises very seriously and will go to great lengths to honor them. We have hit very hard times recently, and I have had to delay delivery on some promises, which breaks my heart. But they know that I will fulfill those promises eventually, and are much more empathetic and understanding than their peers have been in similar situations.
Silent scan.
Well, realistically, it'd be a helicopter parent. You always want to look out for your kid, right? Make sure they're not doing things they're supposed to do. Walk in without knocking. It ruins a relationship with the kid, because even though you have a sense of privacy, the kid doesn't. and will always paranoid of anyone entering their room without warning. It ruins a kid. Would my mom let me do this? Is she okay with it? My parents were helicopter parents. I was not allowed to lock my bedroom door. My mom listened in on my phone calls. This was in landline phone days. And went through my personal belongings when I wasn't home, including reading the notes that friends. And I passed in school. I wasn't allowed to talk to boys or date. I'm female.
Silent scan.
Making them give physical affection when they don't want to. If Uncle Bob makes them uncomfortable, don't make them give him a hug. If Aunt Karen freaks them out, don't make them give her a kiss. Of course it's important that they be kind, but don't teach them that the feelings of others is more important than their bodily autonomy. Yes, I'm so glad my best friend does this with her kids. Today I was with her, and her 3-year-old. She asked him if he wanted to give me a hug. He said no very firmly, so we high-fived.
Silent scan.
Never saying sorry to your kids. My mom only just recently started telling me sorry when she gets worked up. It's built up such a resentment for her over the years. And I also have trouble saying sorry myself because of it. Tell your kids sorry. Especially if you overreact to something they did. This is my mom too. Sometimes it feels like she would rather jump off a cliff before admitting she was wrong and apologize. My dad would apologize when he yelled at me as a kid. And it'd always make me understand why he did it. Shit made me feel bad too. That he got so upset that it made him feel shitty.
Silent scan.
Mocking them. Laughing at them. Adults do it to each other all the time. But kids who haven't been immersed in the background cruelty of our culture for years don't understand that it's just the language of the land. And not that they themselves are particularly unworthy of respect. I got laughed at and mocked a few times as a kid, and that shit hurts a lot. There was one time I was trying to help a friend at their birthday by taking their presents to them, but all the adults and my parents thought I was being selfish and wanted them for myself, and joked and laughed at me, and just ignored me explaining myself, and carried on. I think that hurt my self-esteem a lot in the long run.
Silent scan.
I found that when my parents teased me about stuff I was clearly uncomfortable with, it made me tell them less later in life. I have a good relationship with my parents, but I don't tell them lots about my life, because it's easier if they don't know tease about it. My mom grew up with 6 brothers and 2 sisters. And she used to tease me about things I liked when I was young, because she thought I needed to experience since I had no siblings. I think this had the opposite effect than she intended, since it caused me to stay friends with people who were condescending towards me, because I just thought that was normal. Now I'm afraid to passionate about things she doesn't like.
Silent scan.
Not congratulating your child when they achieve something. A friend of mine never got any praise from his parents growing up. Always felt that he wasn't good enough. Show the child that their hard work doesn't go unnoticed. But don't just show them love when they achieve something. They are good as they are and always deserve love. When they achieve something, be happy for them. But if they don't achieve something, they aren't less worthy or something.
Silent scan.
In a different vein of thought, making finances a taboo subject. Financial illiteracy can be devastating once entering adulthood. Want to keep your children from making your own money mistakes. Don't be too proud to teach them what those mistakes were. And to clarify, I don't mean robbing your children of their innocence by putting the weight of your debt on them at an early age, but rather, teaching them how to properly budget their money as they earn it, how to build savings, what credit is, and how to responsibly manage its credit utilization, the danger of revolving balances, not using credit as an emergency fund, teach them about predatory interest rates, and the true cost of a loan, set realistic expectations for costs of living, etc.
Silent scan.
Telling them they're smart. I'm not saying to not praise them for a job well done, but reinforcing that a child is smart will teach them that they don't need to try as hard to learn. Education should be a constant challenge. In the same way exercise should always be a challenge. If it's not difficult, you're not learning. Yep. Praise effort, not just natural talent.
Silent scan.
This is probably going to be buried in the comments, but is so important to me that I'm going to write it anyway. My parents unconsciously taught me to value external validation over everything else. And has been the cause of persistent depression in my adult life. Examples that seem innocent. Praising good grades. And emphasizing academic achievement. Being inordinately pleased when people said good things about me to them. Encouraging me to apply for awards and scholarships. And then being super proud and boastful to others about how amazing I am. Tacking up newspaper articles about me, certificates, etc. all over the house. Writing Christmas letters that were essentially a laundry list of all my accomplishments. Telling me that I could do anything I wanted to, or be anything I wanted, that I was exceptional. I think you get the idea. All this taught me that I am only worth what I can do. It has taught me that I am only as valuable as others deem me to be. Outwardly I appear poised, and accomplished, and successful. Inwardly, I have an exceedingly low, virtually non-existent, sense of self-worth. I push myself constantly to do more, and achieve more and earn more accolades. I burn out, and have panic attacks. I feel numb inside. I don't know who I am, or what I actually enjoy because I've been groomed only to do what others want of me.
Silent scan.
Giving your child too much love or protection. My mom and I are one. She never meant to be toxic, but we're just very close. She does everything I should do myself for me. I have a really bad time when I'm not near her for a couple of days. I'm always home on the weekend, and she is my best friend. But I'm nowhere near breaking free. I'm 19, doing my second year of college, and still, I'm scared I will never be able to live without my mom. I love her to death. Like I said, she never meant to be toxic. I'm her only child, so I get all her love. I just can't do anything on my own.
Silent scan.
Brainwashing them with your religion from birth. I feel like this is one of the most sinister, yet widely accepted influences on children. I live in Utah, and have seen some families really messed up from it.
Silent scan.